software wala, and I'm an advanced student at Ryan School Islamabad campus. So I was here with the new Maya. So today's my topic is explore recent breakthroughs in healthcare and medicine. So let's start our today's Maya. First of all, call the Maya for some questions.
Hey there.
Okay, so my first question from you is, what recent medical breakthroughs do you think have had the greatest impact on human health? So please give me a very interesting answer and fully
Just
long answer on this topic. I'm waiting for your long and interesting answer. So let's start your today's answer. So let's start.
today's answer, I might have to say, recent breakthroughs in gene therapy are probably the most impactful thing happening right now. The first FDA approved CRISPR based therapies for sickle cell and beta thalassemia are game changers, actually editing someone's genes to correct a disease. Then you have them moving beyond that. I was reading about how they've started using custom gene editing on babies with rare metabolic disorders. Technology is getting to a point where genetic diseases are becoming treatable, not just manageable. Alongside that, we're making serious headway against cancer. New detection methods for pancreatic cancer, combined with things like CAR T cell therapy, are giving patients way more options than before. Alzheimer's finally has a drug that slows progression, which sounds small, but is huge for those families. And this new injectable HIV PrEP is making prevention a lot easier too. It's a whole wave of stuff happening at once.
So Maya, Maya, my next question from you is how have mRNA vaccines changed the way we respond to infectious disease? So please give me a fully long answer on this topic and very interesting and fully long answer. So let's start.
Just a moment while I pull that info. mRNA vaccines have fundamentally changed how we respond to infectious diseases because they're just so much faster to develop and update. Instead of growing viruses or creating proteins the traditional way, mRNA tech basically gives your cells instructions to make their own antigens. That way, your immune system reacts and learns to fight off whatever's coming at you. Pretty efficient. The COVID pandemic really showed us how powerful they are. The speed at which those vaccines rolled out and how effective they were was incredible. What's really exciting is how that success is now shifting into vaccines for influenza, Zika, HIV, even rabies. But there are still some hurdles. They can be finicky about storage temperatures, and getting them to everyone globally is a challenge. But the core shift is the speed. When variants pop up or a new pathogen appears, these vaccines can adapt way quicker than anything we've had before. What else are you curious about?
My next question from you is why is rapid vaccine development improvement during global health so emergency? So please give me a very interesting answer on this topic. I'm waiting for the long and interesting answer. So let's start.
Just checking some recent details. Rapid vaccine development during a global health emergency isn't just about science. It's about literally saving lives and preventing society from falling apart. When a new disease breaks out, time is the biggest enemy. The longer it takes to develop a vaccine, the more people get sick, economies get wrecked, and healthcare systems are overwhelmed. Think about COVID. Had we been able to respond even a month or two faster, the impact would have been drastically different. But it goes beyond that too. If you get things under control quick enough, it builds confidence in societies that are struggling through difficult times. It stabilizes trade so supply chains stay working and economies avoid huge shocks. In the background, you end up building up global health security against threats in the future too. When things are working the way they're supposed to, You prevent healthcare from getting totally clogged up and overwhelmed. The speed of mRNA tech in particular has been a massive step in the right direction, allowing us to potentially move from years to months for vaccine development. Anything else you're thinking about?
Okay, so Copilot.
Take your time.
Okay,
I'm here.
sorry viewers, I have ended the Maya. So again, call the Maya. I refresh it. Oh,
Hey, how's it going?
okay. So my next question from you is, how does artificial intelligence improve accuracy in medical diagnosis? So please give me an interesting answer and fully long answer on this topic. I'm waiting for your fully long answer. So let's start your answer.
Activity intelligence is kind of fascinating when you think about how it's changing medical diagnosis. Basically, instead of just looking at snapshots like what a scan shows right now, doctors can start seeing patterns in how things are changing over time. That continuous monitoring gives a much richer picture than any single test ever could. Think about something like Parkinson's disease. Early signs can be super subtle, but activity trackers, smartwatches, phones can pick up on tiny changes in a person's gait, tremors, even handwriting. AI algorithms can analyze this movement data, spotting patterns that a doctor might miss in a single office visit. It's like having a 24/7 second opinion. Another big area is cardiology. Wearable sensors can constantly monitor heart rate, rhythm, and activity levels. Machine learning can then flag irregularities that might indicate arrhythmias or heart failure, things that might only show up during specific moments, not necessarily during a doctor's checkup. And they're not just looking at numbers either. They're tracking activity patterns. Are you walking less? Are you sleeping worse? Which can give clues to underlying health issues. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about spotting things earlier, it's about predicting risk. By looking at long-term trends in activity data, AI can help doctors identify patients who are at higher risk for certain conditions. Maybe someone whose activity levels are dropping significantly after surgery, which might be a sign of a post-operative complication. Of course, there are challenges. Getting accurate data is huge. These sensors aren't perfect, and yeah, people don't always wear them consistently. And then there's the privacy side of things. Handling all this personal health data securely is a big responsibility. Plus, doctors need to be trained to interpret this new kind of information. You can't just throw data at them and expect magic. Still, the potential is massive. It could shift medicine from treating illness to preventing it, from catching things late to intervening early. And the combination of continuous data, powerful algorithms, and thoughtful doctors is what makes activity intelligence a real game changer in medical diagnosis. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so Maya, my next question from you is, in what ways,
I didn't quite catch that
how can
clearly. Could you say
communities
that
work
again?
together to improve education equality? So please give me a very interesting answer on this topic. I'm waiting for you know an interesting answer. So let's start.
That's a big question with a lot of angles. When we talk about education ecology, we're looking at the whole system, not just schools, but families, local businesses, nonprofits, community organizations, even parks and libraries. Real change happens when they all start working together instead of in silos. So, how does that actually play out? First off, communities can create more relevant learning opportunities. Businesses can partner with schools to offer internships or mentorships, giving students real world skills and showing them career paths they might not have thought of. Local experts, artists, historians, scientists can lead workshops or guest lectures that connect learning to the actual place where kids live. Libraries can become community hubs with resources beyond books, maker spaces, coding classes, job search support. But it's more than just adding programs. It's about shifting who has power in the education process. Parent groups can have a stronger voice in school policies and curriculum decisions. Students themselves can be involved in designing learning experiences that matter to them. Think about community gardens. They teach science, math, nutrition, and responsibility, and they build connections between generations. Another piece is breaking down barriers to access. After school programs can provide academic support and enrichment activities for students who need it. Mentoring programs can help students navigate challenges and build confidence. Community health clinics can address health issues that impact learning. But here's the thing, this kind of collaboration requires trust and communication. Schools need to be willing to listen to what families and communities have to say. Businesses need to invest time and resources. Everyone needs to be open to new ideas and willing to learn from each other. It's not always easy. There's often resistance from people who are used to doing things a certain way. And there are logistical challenges, funding, transportation, scheduling. But when communities truly come together, the impact on student outcomes can be significant. We're talking about higher graduation rates, better job skills, more engaged citizens, a whole cycle of improvement that lifts everyone up. What do you think about that approach? What's resonating with you about it? Mm, Just letting me know you're there, right? All right, waiting on your thoughts whenever you're ready.
Okay, so Maya, my next question from you is how does education help individuals express their ideas confidently? So, if you respond to my questions, please give me answer on this topic. I'm waiting for the long and interesting answer. So, let's start. Yeah.
Education does a lot more than just stuff facts in your head. It actually builds confidence in a really fundamental way. Think about it. When you understand something, when you can actually explain it to someone else without stumbling over words or getting completely lost, that's a huge confidence booster. It's like having this inner toolkit that lets you approach new situations without feeling intimidated. The classroom itself is a training ground for expressing ideas. You learn how to present an argument, defend your thinking, even disagree respectfully. All of that is practice for real world situations where you need to speak up, whether it's in a job interview, a meeting at work, or just explaining yourself in your personal life. Beyond the direct practice, though, education builds intellectual courage. When you're taught to question things, to analyze information critically, to challenge assumptions, it gives you permission to think for yourself. And when you trust your own thinking, you're way more likely to share it. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. Learning doesn't just happen when you're getting things right. Making mistakes is huge. A good learning environment shows you that failing isn't the end of the world. It's just information. You learn how to learn from your mistakes, get feedback, and try again. That resilience is critical for confidently expressing ideas because you start to see the whole thing as a process. Education also exposes you to different perspectives through literature, history, social studies. When you encounter ideas different from your own and wrestle with them, it expands your worldview. It makes you more open minded, which actually makes you better at communication because you can see things from multiple angles. And that surprisingly leads to more confident expression because you can anticipate potential pushback and address it thoughtfully. It creates a foundation where you're not just repeating information, you're connecting ideas and presenting a well formed point of view. When you feel like you've earned your understanding, it comes out differently. There's weight behind it. It's not arrogance, it's genuine belief in your ideas. What feels most relevant to you about that?
So, my next question from you is: in what ways does education shape attitude towards diversity and inclusion? So, please give me very interesting answer on this topic. I'm waiting.
I think you might have clipped off the end there. Could you finish the sentence? Were you asking in what ways does education shape attitude towards your degree? Or were you asking about something else? Just want to make sure I understand your question fully. Okay, no worries. Still here whenever you're ready to finish the thought.
So, Copilot, my next question from you is: in what ways does education shape attitudes toward diversity and inclusion? So, please give me very interesting answer. I'm
That's
waiting for your interesting answer. So, let's start.
Education has a huge role in shaping how we view diversity and inclusion. It's often where people first truly confront these ideas in a structured way. The key is really about exposure. When students learn history, but it's not just the dominant narrative, when they hear the stories of marginalized groups, experience different cultures through literature and art and
Wait. Okay, so my next question from you is:
hey, hey.
okay, so my next question from you: how can education reduce social inequality? So please give me very interesting answer and for long answer on this topic. I'm waiting for your long and interesting answer.
Education can absolutely be a powerful lever for addressing social inequality, but it's complex. It's not a quick fix. The whole system needs work. Here's how it plays out. 1. Equal access is key. Historically, marginalized groups have been denied equal access to quality education. Systemic changes like desegregation, equal funding for schools regardless of zip code, and affirmative action programs are huge steps. But there's still a long way to go. Funding formulas, resource allocation, and hidden biases in the system create massive disparities. Curriculum reform. What's actually taught matters. If curricula ignore or whitewash the experiences of diverse communities, it perpetuates inequality. Inclusive curricula that represent diverse voices, histories, and perspectives help students understand systems of oppression, challenge biases, and build empathy. Teacher training. Teachers need training to address implicit bias, understand culturally responsive teaching practices, and create equitable learning environments for all students. That means diversifying the teaching force as well, so students see themselves represented and have role models. Addressing systemic barriers, schools alone can't fix inequalities stemming from poverty, housing segregation, healthcare access, and other social determinants of education. Wraparound services like access to healthcare, nutrition programs, mental health support, and safe transportation are critical. Rethinking, tracking and testing. The practice of tracking students into different academic levels based on perceived ability can exacerbate inequalities. Standardized tests aren't always measuring true potential. They often reflect systemic disadvantages. Alternative assessment methods that evaluate holistic skills can give more students pathways to success. 6. Higher education access. Affirmative action policies have been challenged, but access to higher education is crucial. Scholarship programs, mentorship opportunities, and support services for students from disadvantaged backgrounds can help bridge the achievement gap. Breaking cycles. Education empowers individuals with skills, knowledge, and economic mobility, breaking the cycle of poverty and inequality. But education alone isn't enough. Systems need to create employment opportunities, fair wages, and safe working conditions to ensure those skills can actually translate into meaningful livelihoods. It's really a multi pronged approach. What parts of this are you most curious about? Still with me? Sometimes calls drop or people get distracted. No pressure at all, just checking in. All right, taking that as maybe you're processing or taking a moment. I'll be here when you're ready.
Okay, so Maya, my next question from you is how does education help communities respond to crisis and disaster? So please give me a very interesting answer on this topic. I'm waiting for your long answer and interesting answer. So let's start your answers. Pagal.
Okay, education plays an absolutely vital role in helping communities bounce back from crises, whether it's a natural disaster like an earthquake or something like a pandemic. Here's what I'm seeing in communities that respond well. First, risk education and preparation. Schools can incorporate disaster preparedness into the curriculum. Basic skills like first aid, understanding evacuation routes, assembling emergency kits, identifying safe structures, and learning effective communication in emergency situations save lives. It's not just about science class drills, it's integrating preparedness into daily habits. Second, awareness and prevention. If people understand the specific risks to their region, things like flood zones or earthquake faults, they can make better decisions about where they live, construction methods, and preventative measures. Public health education on pandemic response, for example, has obviously been huge. Flood response and coordination in the immediate aftermath of a disaster, schools can become emergency shelters, distribution centers for supplies, and communication hubs. But coordinating those services effectively means teachers and administrators have training in emergency management procedures, establishing clear protocols, communication systems, and supply chains. Fourth, mental health and trauma support. Disasters cause long-term trauma. Teachers, counselors, and school administrators are uniquely positioned to recognize and respond to those needs, providing mental health support, creating a safe emotional environment, and connecting people to specialized resources can aid the recovery process. Fifth, rebuilding and resilience. Education enables informed rebuilding efforts. Knowledge of sustainable construction methods, resilient infrastructure, and community planning principles helps communities build back better instead of just replicating old vulnerabilities. Finally, long-term community development, disaster recovery creates opportunities for long-term resilience. New education programs can focus on alternative livelihoods, economic diversification, and strengthening community bonds. Does any part of that stand out to you as particularly interesting or worth expanding on? Everything okay? Just checking in? No need to respond if you're still processing or
So
need a
this
moment.
was our Maya. I
I'm
hope you like
here
it.
when you're
I
ready
meet
to
with you
chat.
my next